This is the ViewSonic XG3202-C. This is a 1080p 144Hz curved 32-inch monitor. It also went to a pretty high price tag, at least about £350 at the time of filming in the UK, so let's see if it's actually worth it. So first things first, as I mentioned, this is a 32-inch 1080p display. That does mean that the pixel density is fairly low here. It does use a VA or vertical alignment panel, so the viewing angles on this is actually really pretty impressive, both side to side and top and bottom. I was really impressed with, and the 140Hz refresh rate does mean that it is pretty decent for gaming. One thing I would mention is before we take a quick look around it, as I said, my personal preference here is for, especially at 1080p, something like 24 to 21 inches. So I do have a slight bias towards the smaller size for this resolution, so make that clear. Now taking a look around the monitor, you can see that it is a pretty nice aesthetic. The stand itself features a very wide but fairly thin base, which is decent enough and keeps it very sturdy. You do have a little bit of tilt adjustment available there too. On the left hand side of the monitor, you have what is a fairly strange feature, which is a single USB 2 port. Now this isn't uncommon for a lot of monitors, a lot of them have USB hubs, but in this case there is no downlink port. This doesn't connect to your computer anywhere, so I guess this is either just a charging port for your phone or something, you know, a port to be able to update the firmware in the future, but either way it's a little bit of a strange addition, and you do have a headphone hanger just above that. On the other side of the monitor you have a hat switch to navigate the menu, and this is the only buttons you'll find on the display. You'd also have a power indicator LED on the bottom, so as you see it left hand side. Just next to that you have the DC in, which is or the AC in, sorry, which is a standard kettle lead 3-pin, and on the right hand side as you see it, you'll see the DVI, HDMI, DisplayPort, VGA and audio connections, which are all of your display inputs. Taking a look at the back of the monitor, you can see that there is a standard 100x100 VESA mount, so if you do want to wall mount this or mount this on a monitor arm, you can do, but I would mention that you've got to be careful of clearance for the bottom part there, as it is significantly thicker than where the VESA mount is, so just make sure that doesn't clash with anything. When making use of the display, I was very impressed, as I said earlier, with the viewing angles. These are fantastic, especially side to side. Considering this is a 144Hz VA panel, I was very impressed with that. The overall use case for, you know, day-to-day and productivity and web browsing work is pretty decent, but I can really definitely see where that, you know, that resolution is significantly lower than what you would normally expect from a 32-inch panel. Even web browsing and stuff like that was a little bit more limited just in terms of its fidelity and sharpness, just due to the monitor itself rather than, you know, to anything else. Gaming on the monitor was pretty impressive. The 144Hz does mean that it is a fairly fluid and smooth gaming experience, and the actual panel itself seems to do a pretty good job of keeping up with the hardware, so that's nice. But I would mention that while you do have a little bit of a benefit of having physically bigger pixels for playing stuff like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, trying to see stuff off in the distance, even on the fog map, then you know, the overall gaming experience, just having such big pixels and being able to fairly clearly see them is a little bit of a downside here, and I would like to see a higher resolution available. With that said, this monitor's main shout-out feature is its curve. Of course, that's probably why they went with the 32-inch model, as that physically wraps around your face and does actually lead to a more immersive experience in both gaming and just general, you know, general use case. So I was actually pretty surprised by that. Obviously, this is a standard 16:9 aspect ratio. This isn't an ultra-wide, it's a standard resolution, so I was kind of surprised, but I must say that it is a pretty enjoyable experience, and even though the actual pixel density is fairly low, the overall curve did mean that the gaming experience was actually pretty impressive. So what's my thoughts on this? Well, for me, I think my personal bias says it all really. The pixel density is just too low for me to, you know, really give it a proper recommendation for this. The curve is very nice, and if they were to offer a 1440p variation, then it might be better, and obviously 4K, especially with the newer panels that are coming out that allow for higher refresh rate 4K and stuff like that as well, that could be a pretty interesting offering. But at the time being, this being a 1920x1080 monitor, I don't know that I can wholly recommend it as a, you know, fantastic experience. If, you know, though you do have maybe eyesight troubles and stuff like that, then perhaps it's going to be decent for you and might lead to a better overall, more immersive experience. So I'm not going to rule it out completely, but it's not for the average Joe, I would would think. When it comes to scoring, for me this is going to be a 3 for 5 money. In terms of performance though, I'm going to go with a 4.5, as well functionality, and in terms of styling I do quite like it as well, so that will also be a 4.5. In terms of TechteamGB score, I think it's going to be a 4, as it does have some nice features, stuff like the 144Hz and that curve, but overall I think that the display pixel density just kind of lets it down a bit there. In terms of scoring, I think it's going to be a silver award, and if they offered a 1440p or 4K variant, then I think that would bump it up to a gold, but for me it's going to be silver at this point. If you want to check out this monitor and check out pricing when and where you watch this, take a look at the links in the description down below. Also, if you want to support this channel, then feel free to take a look at the Amazon and Overclockers UK affiliate links. They all do genuinely help me out, and if you just want to support me by subscribing and leaving a comment and liking and all that sort of stuff, then feel free to do that too. There will be some of the videos over on this side of the screen for you, and of course if you want to check out any of the other videos, there will be plenty over here, and of course in the suggested videos and all that sort of stuff. And otherwise, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of this resolution at this size? Is this something that you'd be interested in or not? I'd like to hear from you down there. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.